You ever notice how people still chase the same things they did 2,000 years ago? Power, validation, control. They just call it success now. And somewhere 2 millennia ago, an emperor sat in silence, writing to himself, not to impress, not to publish, just to survive his own mind. His name was Marcus Aurelius, the man who ruled the most powerful empire, and still understood that the hardest kingdom to rule is your own thoughts. He didn't talk about manifesting your dreams. He talked about disciplining your perception, because he knew you don't control what happens. You control what it means. Funny, isn't it? We have everything he didn't. Phones, medicine, instant pleasure. And yet, we're more restless than a Roman in exile. See, Marco didn't need dopamine detoxes. He didn't scroll through other people's lives to feel alive. He fought wars, lost children, buried friends, and still said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Simple, brutal, and exactly what no one wants to hear, because we love to believe that peace comes after we fix everything. But Marco knew, peace only begins when you stop trying to fix what was never broken, the world. He practiced what most of us fear, acceptance, the quiet surrender that doesn't mean giving up, but giving in to reality. He faced betrayal, sickness, chaos, and still woke up saying, "Today I'll meet the arrogant, the greedy, the ignorant, and none of them will ruin me." Can you imagine saying that before checking your phone? We crave control so badly that we forget the only control we ever had was over the story we tell ourselves. That's what Marco understood, and that's why his words outlived empires. He didn't try to be happy, he tried to be calm. And maybe that's the one thing we lost in all our progress, the ability to stay still while everything burns. Marcus Aurelius woke up before dawn to face politics, plagues, and war. You wake up to face your notifications. Same anxiety, different battlefield. He wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, it is not the thing itself that troubles you, but your judgment about it." Meanwhile, we scroll, we compare, we drown, not in reality, but in perception. Marcus spent his mornings preparing for fools. We spend ours becoming them. He expected chaos. We expect comfort, and that's why we collapse at the smallest inconvenience. A delayed message, a bad comment, a silent treatment. Our empires crumble with Wi-Fi signals. Marcus didn't have therapy apps or motivational quotes. He had silence in his mind, and that was enough. Because when you stop reacting, the world loses its power to manipulate you. But silence terrifies us now. We call it boredom, because when the noise stops, we finally hear how lost we are. Marcus knew that pain was not an interruption of life. It was life. He didn't chase happiness. He cultivated endurance. He understood that discipline isn't punishment, it's protection. Because a man without discipline is just a slave to his impulses. Dress nicely, and that's the tragedy of our age. We mistake distraction for peace. We mistake comfort for happiness. We mistake stimulation for purpose. He ruled an empire and wrote about humility. We live in comfort and post about how hard it is to find ourselves. He said, "Do not act as if you had 10,000 years to live." We act like we'll live forever, but die a little every time we open our phones. Marcus didn't need followers. He needed truth. And truth, he realized, isn't found in opinions. It's found in restraint. You want to live like a philosopher? Then start by shutting up more. Start by not reacting to every spark that touches your ego. Start by learning that sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is nothing. That's the paradox of wisdom. The quieter you become, the louder your mind speaks. Marcus understood that centuries ago, and we still think enlightenment comes with background music and Wi-Fi. Imagine Marcus Aurelius in 2025. No toga, no marble palace, just a man in a hoodie sitting in silence, while the world scrolls itself to death. He opens Instagram, 1,000 quotes with his name misspelled, his words turned into motivational wallpaper. For people who've never sat alone for 10 minutes without panicking. He'd scroll once, sigh, and delete the app. Because Marcus never cared about being followed. He cared about being free. But imagine how hard that would be now. Trying to stay calm while everyone's competing to appear enlightened. Trying to practice detachment while algorithms are designed to keep you addicted to validation. You post a thought, and instead of peace, you check if it performed well. Wisdom became content. Virtue became branding. And silence? Just bad engagement. Marcus would laugh, a tired laugh. The kind you give when you realize humanity learned nothing. He said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." Today, the soul is dyed with filters and dopamine. He'd see people quoting him to look deep, while raging in the comments 3 posts later. He'd see self-care gurus teaching peace with sponsored anxiety. He'd see how truth got replaced by aesthetic minimalism, and how discipline got replaced by journaling apps we forget to open. He'd probably walk away from all of it, not out of arrogance, but exhaustion, because he'd know that no one really wants wisdom anymore. They want the appearance of having it. And that's the difference between Marcus Aurelius and us. He wrote to understand himself. We post to convince others we do. He said, "Be tolerant with others and strict with yourself." Today, we reversed it. We demand perfection from strangers and excuses for ourselves. He'd watch the chaos and whisper, "Nothing has changed, only the noise." And maybe, just maybe, he'd write again, not in a notebook this time, but in the quiet corners of his mind, knowing that no matter how loud the world gets, the truth always whispers. Marcus Aurelius spent his nights in silence. We spend ours escaping it. He faced darkness to understand himself. We turn on a screen so we don't have to. We call it relaxing, but it's running from the sound of our own thoughts. That quiet hum that asks questions we don't want to answer. He wrote, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." But we build a world where the soul has no signal. We can't sit still anymore. We need noise, music, feeds, distractions, because silence feels like death. And maybe it is the death of who we pretend to be. We live in constant simulation, scrolling through faces, stories, emotions. It feels alive, but it's not life. It's just movement. We confuse stimulation with existence. If it's not loud, we assume it's meaningless. If it's not visible, we assume it's gone. Marcus didn't fear silence. He feared losing reason. He feared becoming like the crowd. Loud, blind, reactive. He said, "The opinion of 10,000 men is of no value if none of them know what they're talking about." Now, 10,000 voices talk every second. All noise, no depth. And the more we listen, the less we hear. We've forgotten how to be alone. We think solitude means rejection. But Marcus knew solitude is where you meet the only person who can save you. That's why he didn't write for an audience. He wrote to survive himself. Every sentence was a battle against his own weakness. Every word was a reminder to stay human in a world addicted to vanity. And look at us now. Every moment of silence feels like failure. We fear what might rise from the quiet, so we drown it with noise, with people, with opinions. We become allergic to stillness because stillness exposes truth, and truth is uncomfortable. Maybe that's why wisdom feels extinct, not because people stopped thinking, but because they stopped listening. Peace sounds beautiful until you realize what it costs. Because peace isn't free, it demands everything fake in you. Every illusion, every mask, every desire to be admired. That's why most people never find it. They want calm without sacrifice, serenity without surrender, control without discipline. Marcus Aurelius knew better. He ruled the world, yet refused to let the world rule him. He walked through chaos like a ghost, untouched, not because he didn't feel, but because he refused to be owned by his feelings. He said, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." Imagine reading that on your lunch break, between checking messages and complaining about your boss. We'd scroll past it. Too heavy, too real, because deep down, we know he's right. We just don't want to live like it. We built lives around comfort, instant, disposable digital comfort, and called it progress. But progress without wisdom is just noise moving faster. We envy the peace of ancient philosophers, but we ignore the discipline that created it. Marcus didn't have peace because the world was quiet. He had peace because he stopped begging for it. That's the secret we keep running from. Peace isn't something you find. It's something you build, one brutal choice at a time. Every time you stay calm instead of reacting. Every time you choose presence over panic. Every time you shut your mouth when your ego wants to prove a point. Peace is expensive because it demands ego as payment. And ego doesn't die easily. It fights. It screams. It convinces you that you're losing yourself. But the truth? You're only losing the noise. Marcus understood that wisdom feels like loss at first. You lose excitement. You lose drama. You lose the urge to prove yourself. And what's left feels empty. Until one day it doesn't. One day, the emptiness becomes peace. And you realize that silence you feared was freedom all along. We talk about living authentically, but authenticity means being okay with being misunderstood. It means letting people think you've changed, when all you did was stop performing. That's what Marcus Aurelius did. He stopped performing, and in doing so, he became eternal. Because truth doesn't need applause, discipline doesn't trend, and peace doesn't post. If Marcus lived today, he wouldn't be viral. He'd be invisible, calm, steady, unbothered. He'd walk through the noise like a man walking through fog, not fighting it, just passing through. And that's the final lesson. You don't escape chaos by running from it. You escape by refusing to join it. So next time you feel the urge to argue, to prove, to react, remember, you're not Marcus Aurelius, but you could try to be a little less like everyone else. Because maybe peace isn't found in temples or sunsets or meditation apps. Maybe peace is just the moment you stop needing the world to make sense. And when that moment comes, you'll finally understand what Marcus Aurelius wrote to himself in a quiet room 2,000 years ago. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Simple, eternal, forgotten.